It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
Oh, it is a wonderful day to talk hockey. Every day is a wonderful day to talk hockey. You know what, folks? I'm feeling a little silly. Yeah, middle of summer. You know what? Friday night. I have a pint with you fine folks tonight. Maybe two. Well, I have got two, so odds are I'm going to have two. Listen, happy Good Friday. A good Friday to you all. Let's have a pint together and talk Habs. Nectar of the gods. So, welcome to HabsCast. I am your host, Grant McCagg. I got a great show lined up for you today, folks. Always a great show. I did a poll today. I'm going to get it up here and see what the results are right now. It's pretty, I'm somewhat flabbergasted by it. There it is right there. I'll just share this screen and we can have a look. Asking folks, how many points are the Habs going to get this year? Now, I don't know if folks are forgetting that there's 2 extra games or that they had 106 points last year, but I found the results here a little surprising. All right. At this point, people are saying, okay, I mean, this I agree with. 4.8% saying under 90 points, and that'd be Leaf fans and Sens fans, Bruin fans, Canucks fans mostly saying that just to troll. 539 votes. This has been the best return yet on the polling. I think it's because I posted it on Grant McCagg's account and not my HabsCast one. I'm going to post them on my own account from now on here. What the hell? But as you can see here, 90 to 100 points, 34% saying that the Habs might come down like 20 points here. And I think that's rather ridiculous. Here, let's just get things straightened out here. Here we go. Sorry about that. We still had silly Caulfield on there. How many points will the Habs get this season? Under 94.8%, 90 to 100, 34%. 34% think the Habs are going to drop back 10, 15 points from last year, as opposed to 5% saying 110 plus, and 56% say 100 to 110. So basically, the majority say the status quo for the Habs this year. But look, 106 points, right? If you add the 2 extra games, 109 would be equaling the win percentage from last year. So large majority of folks don't think that the Habs are going to improve on their point total of last year, where the first 40 games of the year they had Sam Montembeault as a starter. We don't forget, youngest team in the NHL. Didn't have a great start. They got 106 points, and they got their young core is all under the age of 27. So, well, I guess Nick turned 27, or will be turning 27 in like 3 days, but they're still all under the age of 27. So, like, what I don't quite understand why people think, oh, well, the Canadians can't get more points. Well, why not? Here is a look. Let's just see the moves that players, the teams in the Atlantic Division made this year. All right, Montreal Canadiens, arrivals, David Reinbacher. Yes, you read that right. David Reinbacher will be arriving this season, and he will make an impact for the Montreal Canadiens. Departures, Brendan Gallagher, that's a plus. He won't be on the second power play anymore. Joe Veleno. Okay, fine. Arrivals for the Florida Panthers. Well, Brady Tkachuk. And I think people think, well, that means that Florida will beat Montreal every time they play them and beat every team in the Atlantic Division this year. But Jakob Markstrom, Radko Gudas, Akari Schmid, Garnet Hathaway, and Lars Eller. Certainly not getting any younger, are they? Departures, Bobrovsky, Samoskevich, Rodriguez, and AJ Greer. All right. So you'd say, well, okay. So the Panthers got a little better. They, I mean, they didn't get any faster with Gudish and Hathaway and Tkachuk and you know that group. But I don't think Akiri Schmid's a great goalie skater either. But anyway, Tampa Bay Lightning added another 37-year-old defenseman in John Carlson. Still a good defenseman, but his better days are behind him. Dennis Hildeby, goalie from the Leafs. Departures: Darren Radish, 22 goal scorer, I believe he was on the point. Nick Paul, center winger, and Corey Perry, all departed. Now Buffalo added Zellweger and Crevier on defense. Lost Alex Tuck, Bowen Byram up front. That's I can't say that, Buffalo finished ahead of Montreal, folks, but I don't know. Is that great improvement? Buffalo's not really. And their core, they have two or three of their core players they aren't getting any better, right? They're at their peak. But that's one team that you could say, well, internally, like Montreal, they're going to do some improving just from their young players playing better, right? But losing Tuck and Byram and replacing them with Zellweger and Crevier, I don't think that's an upgrade for them. Now the Leafs there, you need a magnifying glass to read that. McKenna arrivals: McKenna, Bobrovsky, Radish, Nick Paul, Andre, Jack Roslovic, Colton Sissons, Teddy Bluger, Brandon Duhaime. Alrighty. Departures: Joseph Wall, Brendan Carlo, Nick Robertson, Simon Benoit, Matthias McChelly, and Dennis Hildeby. So, hey, quite the turnover in Leafland. Yes, they will be better likely this year than they were last year, but at the same time, like when you've got that much of a turnover on a team, it takes a while to develop chemistry. Like this team's not I can't see them getting out of the gate and just meshing right off the bat, especially with training camps now being reduced as much as they are. You only play like you play 4 or 5 games and 2 of them are split squad. So you really don't get any, you might get one game with your what will be your open night lineup, maybe in exhibition season. Well, usually in the past teams get a few games together with the main core there, right? Used to be like 7-8 games in the preseason. Well, that's changed. So when you've got that many new faces, I can't see Toronto getting off to a quick start to the season, but we'll see. A lot of question marks there with Toronto. They're kind of a dark horse, I'd say, in the East this year, right? Senators arrivals are William Eklund from San Jose, Andre Burakovsky, Samuel Ersson, Phillies goalie who struggled last year, and departures: Brady Tkachuk, Lars Eller. Obviously, Tkachuk's the big piece there, and we'll see how much it affects them. The last 2 years, Ottawa actually was they played well without him. I don't know that it's going to harm them quite as much as maybe some people have been letting on, but clearly, I don't think you could say the Senators are vastly improved. That's for sure. I mean, if anything, they might take a half step back till they get, you know, try to figure out their lineup and their top six. But I do like William Eklund. I think he adds speed. He's somebody that can play, that can keep up with Stützle. So Stützle and Eklund might end up meshing, being a good pair. But we'll see. There's question marks there, obviously, right? Excuse me. Boston Bruins added JJ Paterka, Will Borgen, Arvidsson, Korpisalo out. So the Bruins, they added a top six piece, and that'll be good. They needed to add some skill, I thought, to the top six. So um, it's hard to say. Like last year, I thought the Bruins overachieved. Few players had like career years. I think Zach and Geeky in particular had their best seasons ever. And Geeky, like, who could have predicted 38 goals from him, right? But I don't know. We'll see with Boston, but I think adding Paterka is a good move for them. Because they need one more piece in that top six. I do believe, because I think I could see Geeky kind of second half of the year. Geeky didn't produce nearly as much as he did in the first. I think that was a bit of an anomaly. He was like at one point in the season, I think he was the leading goal scorer in the NHL, and second half he came back down to earth a bit. But um, Boston, hard to predict. But McAvoy missed a good quite a few games last year. He's back. They're a team that you got to be careful with. We'll see. We'll see ultimately what they do, but I think a little unpredictable what exactly we'll get out of Boston this year. I think they'll be in the mix, and it's going to be tight. The playoff race in the East, I do believe, will be tight, but I don't think it's going to be Montreal that's one of the teams fighting um, for a wild card. I do believe that the Habs are going to be right at the top of the Atlantic standings, and I'll get into that a little more in a bit. Detroit rivals Victor Arvidsson, Tarasov, Keegan Colasar. Departures: Patrick Kane, and perhaps Dylan Larkin will be departing as well. But so it's a little early. I'm not going to make definitive predictions on points today because there's still, there can still be some maneuvering here, right? Teams can still make some trades, and we'll see how training camp goes and all that. Near the end of training camp, I'll make bolder, like, point predictions of some sort, along with some of my co-hosts, and we'll see just how close we are. Last year, I had the Habs second in the division, and ahead of Toronto, so I was close with that one, but I had Florida winning, and mind you, at the time, Barkov hadn't blown out his knee, so that kind of changed things a bit. But you know, I don't know, other than Florida and perhaps Toronto, I don't see, you know, the other teams getting appreciably better, and a few, three or four of them, I think you could argue maybe step back a little bit. Um, I don't know if Buffalo. I think Buffalo maybe comes back down to earth a little bit this year. Just like they went on a crazy run towards the end of the year, right? The second half of the year, and then Montreal beat them in the playoffs. Mind you, I really like the Hellenius kid. Like, they do have, and I'm a huge Noah Ostlund fan, so they're one team that if the young if those young players step up and reach another level, and Ostlund's finally healthy. He's run into injury issues the last 2 years. He was just coming into his own when he got hurt. You know what? If he'd have been available in that Habs series, it might have swayed it just the other way because I think he's a top six um, forward in the NHL down the road. But I'm thinking the same thing, Hellenius too. That kid really impressed me when he came in, still a teenager, and he was friggin' dynamite in the against the Habs the last few games of that series. Um, so Buffalo, they're going to be, they're going to be in the mix. Um, I think they're going to miss Tuck. They don't have a lot of size like truculence. You know, Greenway's gone too, right? And they're not huge up front, other than Tage and McLeod, but a lot of smaller forwards. And Tage Thompson isn't really a physical player, um, so I don't know. I don't know about Buffalo. They're, I think they. It's going to be tough for them to get 110 points again, but I see them making the playoffs just because of that good young youth that they have, right? Um, Senators, uh, I think it's going to be tough for them. It's going to be tough for Detroit. Leafs, likely a year away, but they'll be improved. It might even be a tighter friggin' division than last year, if that's possible. It was tight enough last year too, but um, you know, Florida and Tampa, those are the two teams that a lot of you know a lot of experts will pick because they've got they have the background, right? They've been the class of the Atlantic basically over the last 6 or 7 years, and they both have star power, obviously. But where Montreal, I believe, has the edge on these teams, and I don't think um, Habs fans, but mostly pundits and fans of other teams, I don't think they're taking into account enough the fact that Montreal um, is just going to be improved by osmosis, by internally here. I've got I've got a comparison of of the core players, okay, for the Tampa Bay Lightning and the core players for the Habs, and then I'll show you a similar graphic that I have the core players of Florida versus the core players of Montreal. And there's one thing, obviously, that really stands out with it. And here we have a look at age comparison of core players, Tampa versus Montreal. Okay, John Carlson, 37, Eric Chernak, 29, Anthony Cirelli, 29, Yanni Gourde, 35. And they'll all turn this age at some point this season, or are already this age. Jake Gensel, 32, Brandon Hagel, 28, Victor Hedman, 36, Nikita Kucherov, 33, Ryan McDonough, 37, Braden Point, 30, Moser, 26, Andre Vasilevsky, 32. If you add freaking Gudas to that mix, it's you know, he's like 36. Average age of their core, 32.1. All right. Now you look at the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going with 12 core players with Tampa, so I went with 12 core players with Montreal as a comparison. Like I'd say their main 12 core players right now. Okay. Nick Suzuki, 27. Cole Caulfield, 25. Yuri Slavkovsky, 22. Ivan Demidov, 20. Lane Hudson, 22. Caden Gooley, 24. Cappy just turned 23. Alex Newhook, 25. Kirby Doc, 25. Jakub Dobish, 25. Mike Matheson, the old timer at 31. Noah Dobson, 26. Average age, 24.6. So on average, Okay, 7.5 years younger, the Habs core than Tampa. So look, you can make the argument that Mosier might be the only player in Tampa's core there that is that is still improving as a player. Everybody else, it's fair to say, has with the possible exception of Hagel, it's hard to believe that he could be any better than he already is, but he seems to still seems to be getting better. He'd be the one guy you might say, oh, well, maybe he can be even better, but every other player, they're either in their, late primes or past their prime, and maybe even a little bit on the decline. So, you know, when you look at it that way, and I think it's very important to look at the cores of teams and say, well, you know, who's still got room to improve, to get better, and who doesn't. And I mean, you look at you know you look at Hedman, Gord, Carlson, uh, Kucherov. I mean, Kucherov at some point's got to start slowing down a little bit, right? Will it be this year? Well, it could be. He's 33, but elite players typically mid 30s are still are elite, but he might, I don't see him getting better at this point. So, uh, you know, meanwhile, Suzuki 27, Caulfield 25. Uh, hey, they both kept increasing their point totals. Who's to say Suzuki can't be a 110 point man? Caulfield, well, we just saw his first 50-goal season. Does he score 60 this year? 55? Yeah, it's possible. Kid's only 25 years old. Slavkovsky, well, come on. 23-point improvement last year. One of only 3 6'3" forwards in the NHL that hit the 70-point mark before the age of 22. Uh, yeah, tell me that he's not going to keep improving. And the guy below him, Demidov. Come on now. Like the sky's the limit for him and Hudson, right? Hudson's only 22, Demidov 20. I mean, who knows? If they make a giant one more leap there in their ability, like look out. Gooley has played just over 200 NHL games. That's it. He stays healthy this year. I've said it on other podcasts and like on other HabsCast. If Gooley's healthy this year, and we see glimpses of it last year, but he has another level to his game, and he hits that this year. Uh, the Habs are just vastly improved just by that, just by those five that I just mentioned there: Slav, Demidov, Hudson, Gooley, and Kapanen. Those five are all still on the on the way up. They're on the upward curve here. So I think it's the very good chance that all of these guys have better seasons. And if that's the case, the Canadians are going to be just going to be a lot better just because of that. And Newhook, how much improvement did we see from Alex Newhook last year? Well, he's only 25 years old. Kirby Dach, if he's fully recovered from the, 2 off seasons now, we see anything close to the real Kirby Dach here this year. Who knows? He could be, he could be a lot better. Now you got Dobish again. He was a freaking rookie last year. Um, who's to say Doby's not going to be that much better? And we got Fowler, 21-year-old, backing him up. So those guys are just getting better. They're just starting their NHL careers, right? And Dobson, I think Dobson can be better than he was last year. There's a lot of guys, like you can legitimately say in that list, out of the 12 guys, 8 to 10 could be better this year. Like legitimately be better. The only one, right, that's not that's not in, at the very least, their early prime is Matheson, and he's only 31, which for a defenseman is your prime. But you know, I don't see a decline on Matheson at 31 years old, not the way he skates. So um, I, just based on internal improvement alone, a huge advantage to the Habs over Tampa in that regard. What Braden Point will we see this year? I mean, he can be better than he was last year, right? Hedman struggled, had some issues, so he can be better than he was last year. But out of that group, you know, maybe Mosier finds another level, but everyone else, maybe Hagel, the rest of them, just more of the same, right? So in that regard, I would be surprised if the Canadians don't jump ahead of Tampa in the standings this year. I just think that it's such a good young group, but they're only going to have and beating them in the playoffs and their playoff experience. I think the Canadians come out really strong at the start of this year and are very very competitive and get off to a good start. The 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 schedule is friendly for them as well, so I believe Montreal is going to be tough out, and they'll be at the top of the Atlantic standings, I believe, most of the year. Now, you bring up Florida. Florida's kind of the getting Barkov back, right, and picking up Kachuk. People are kind of anointing them, right? Well, let's have a look here. Age comparison, core players, right? Um, Alex Alex Barkov, 31, Sam Bennett, 30, Aaron Ekblad 30, Forsling, Gustav Forsling, 30, Seth Jones, 32, Anton Lundell, 25, Lusterinen, 28, Brad Marchand, 38, Jakob Markstrom, 37, Sam Reinhart, 31, Brady Kachuk, 27, Matthew Kachuk, 29, Carter Verhage, 31, Nico Mikola, 30. So average age 30.6. Now I added two more players, so it was 14 and 14. The two players I added, and it could have been Anderson, it could have been, whoever, but I went Evans and Bolduc to say 14 and 14, okay? And Bolduc is 23. And again, another player that should be better this year, you know. I certainly hope he's not worse. I mean, he had 19 goals in St. Louis and then down. His numbers went down in Montreal. He's fully capable of hitting 20 goals this year. So let's hope that we see a bounce back from him as he's, adapts more to Montreal. Jake Evans, 30 years of age. He's obviously not, well, I mean, he was better in the playoffs than he was in regular season. If we see playoff Jake Evans, that's a lot better. He'll be a lot better than he was last year in the regular season. So that in itself would be an improvement. But because he was significantly better at playoff time, I thought, than he was for most of the regular season. And the same goes for Danault too, right? And you could also argue him, but I don't consider Danault. He's kind of the fourth line center now, so you're trying to go with top 9 and top 4 defensemen. And, like I say, Gudas could be in there, but Kulikov, they're 37 and 36, right? So, the average age just goes up with Florida there. But with this group here, um, you know, yeah, what makes them maybe more appealing than Tampa in a sense is, a lot of their core guys are 30ish. And I mean, they're in their primes, right? But it's later prime. It's getting to be later prime. Um, and I don't expect steps up in any of these guys, with the one exception with Lundell. He's 25, and he could, he could still be improving. But that's where the Canadians have the the gigantic edge on Florida when it comes to internal improvement as a team is the fact that, you know, 75% of their core here can and probably will, the majority of them will only be better hockey players this year. Um, I think you can only say that about one player for sure with Florida, and even he, Lundell, you know, I don't know if he'll be any better. He might be just the same, and that's fine. What just the same is really good, but does he have another level? He's probably goes back to being third line center with Barkov back, right? Barkov's the X factor for them. I think that's the biggest. How what Barkov do we see this year? Will it be the 100 point Selke winning Barkov, or something a little less than that? He had a serious knee injury. Yeah, he was good at the World Championships, but the World Championships is not the NHL, and we'll see. We'll see with Barkov, but uh, you know, they're a little long in the tooth. Some of these core guys, a little bit slow. Like Kachuk, the Kachuk brothers are not fast. Well, like let's just get that straight right now. There's talk that you'd have a line of Kachuk, and Bennett as your second line, but I think talking to Florida fans and stuff, they seem to think you know Brady probably plays on the top line, and maybe you got a little spread out the slow guys a little bit, right? Instead of having the two Kachucks on the same line together, because who's gonna back check between those two, right? I mean, who's gonna get back, catch somebody on the back check? Um, so it would almost make sense that they don't make that a line. But uh, anyway, like I say, the poll results for me have been a little. I'm a little surprised by 5% saying 110 plus because you know don't forget, folks, two extra games, right? I mean, if they equal us after 82 games, if they have 106 points and they win those two extra games, it's guess what? They're up to 110 points. So, 110 plus, right? I think. Uh, Look, this team has improved every year so far. It's been 10 straight, 5 straight years of points improvement. That core is still getting better. I don't like how many of the Habs defensemen haven't played 300 games yet. 4 of the 7. They all should be better. It just experience on the blue line is so important, and um, I think Reinbacher comes in and he helps too. I don't know at what point he's going to make the team, but he'll be a solid addition. Hopefully, Carrier eventually, is eased out in some respect, and Reinbacher takes his place. But you know, it's funny too. People. Let's get to a few comments here. We got Sheldon, $2. Thank you for the toonie, Sheldon. Cheers, everybody. Habs will win the Atlantic. I think so. I do, and that's not just the homer in me talking. I mean, I'm always optimistic on the Habs, but there's just they could have 5 or 6 70-point scorers. They could have 5 80-point scorers. They're just I don't know. I don't think there's a team with more quality depth uh, right now in the division. Like Montreal has more skill, like more depth of skill there. It's just you know you you match it up, and you get down to the 6th or 7th guy on the Habs, and you're still looking at what could be 70 point guys. There aren't many in the East that can match it. That's for sure. Maybe Florida, but we'll see. Leafs are going nowhere fast. Yeah. Habs haters, they wish their team was friendly loaded. Common sense, lads, look at the numbers. There you go. I believe the NHL experts had the Leafs finishing ahead of the Habs. Oh, yeah, they all did, Big Bill. I didn't. I saw it. I saw and you lose a 100-point scorer. Come on, that's got to affect your team. But they thought, oh, no, Michelli will come in. And some Hab fans or Leaf fans were even saying, oh, Matthews will be better with Michelli because his goal production was up last year when he didn't play with Marner. They found some stat somewhere and they're like, oh yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that one. Hey, Sheldon stepped away for a sec. Oh, okay. If the Panthers are healthy, they have to be favorites. I don't think they have to be. No. What's there's question marks in goal there, Brian. 37-year-old Jakob Markstrom has kind of sucked the last couple of years. He's not Bobrovsky. They're slow. They're relatively old. That core's not getting better. So, if Barkov's not back to being a superstar, I don't know. I think teams are. I think people are being a little bit too bullish on Florida. We'll see. I like Benson with Buffalo. Oh yeah, he's a gamer. And he's only getting better too. There's Benson. There's Oslin. There's Hellenius. Jack Quinn didn't have a great year last year. If he does, Kulich was injured, so there's some good young players on Buffalo. They'll be fun to watch. I hope they make the playoffs again. I think they're an entertaining club. Just don't beat the Habs. Do you think that it's imperative that the Habs deal a D before the season starts? Just moves everyone up a step closer. There's a few knocking on the door. Yeah, well, I'd like to see them make a move, and that's the other thing too, right? Like if they do strengthen the right side there, they're only going to be that much tougher. I honestly believe. I'd like to know who you think, maybe a Habs prospect, what you think might be a miss. That you think might be a miss. Like a high end one. Like I think Mooney might be a miss, but I don't have him ranked really, really high either. Out of the top guys, people aren't going to want to hear it, but they're not going to be surprised by this answer if you follow me with any regularity. That maybe Zborowski. And by the way, folks, coming up, hopefully this week, if I can get my Instat subscription back. Yeah, are you listening? Get me back hooked up again, my friend. At HabsCast annual top 30 Habs prospects. 3 shows, 30 prospects. Day 1, it'll be 21 to 30. I'll have videos on all of these prospects and nice graphics too. Day 2, 11 to 20. Final show, I will reveal HabsCast's top 10 Habs prospects. Folks, I put a lot of work into this. Please tune in. I'll give lots of I'll give you lots of head leeway on when I'm not coming up with the right word. You know what I mean. I'll give you lots of heads up. That's the word. Thank you, Grant. On when, if and when that will be happening. But there are a couple of surprises in there. I'll just give you one. I'll give you a teaser here. Okay. There's what I did up nice graphics for each and every Habs prospect. Number 6, Adam Engstrom, left defense. All right. And I'll be doing videos on each, going through it, discussing, breaking down their games a bit, explaining why I've got them ranked where I do, including Adam Engstrom being 6th overall. So there, I'm letting one out of the bag here. I'll explain why he's 6th ranked, and you'll hopefully tune into that show. It should be a good one. When I reveal the top 10, all 3 will be good. The Habs, you know what? The prospect pool's pretty good right now. Like there's guys ranked in the 20s that I wouldn't completely discount as being NHL prospects. So the cupboard's pretty full right now. It's a good time. Well, it's the best time to be a Habs fan in decades. I'm not sure why they would be favorites even when they won cups. They weren't head and shoulders above the other teams during the regular season. I think the first year they were 4th. Yeah. More built for the playoffs, right? That's a good point, Ken. Hedman is also a question mark if he'll play this season. Yeah, that's right. Barkov could be in for a down year coming off that injury. They lost their number 1 goalie. They traded for a player, more reputation than substance. They became slower and older. Again, how are they number 1? Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think Brian likes to, be emphatic with his opinions, and that's fine, Brian. We can. I just thought it. I tend to be a bit more cautious when it comes to being emphatic about predictions because we don't know. There are a lot of ifs there with Florida. If this guy's better, if Markstrom bounces back from 2 crappy years in New Jersey, they didn't get faster getting Radko Gudas back. I don't know, like they're slow. Fast teams like Montreal might just freaking skate them right out of the rink some nights. I think they have the depth, and last year was a blessing in disguise for them not being in the playoffs and injuries. We'll see. Off-season trades, and they know their window is closing. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Florida's back in the playoffs. I think it'd be hard to argue that they shouldn't be back in, but far and away the favorites in the Atlantic Division? No, absolutely not. Line A is also a departure, but then again, he wasn't really here last year. Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Da Vinci. Who will take a step backwards? Colorado Realtor. Where are you from, Colorado Realtor? Who, meaning like team or player? We'll agree to disagree. I don't see the hat. Okay. You guys can have your conservation there. 30 is sweet spot. Would anyone disagree that Florida, in a way, rode a hot goalie to back-to-back cups? I know others helped. But the way I see it is they played a tight game style backed by great goaltending. And they no longer have Bob. Yeah. Oilers don't have the depth. Okay, I'm not sure why we're getting into the Oilers here. I'll just let you guys have your little. That's more of a internal discussion as opposed to kind of getting off topic. So don't feel, insulted if I'm going to pass over on a few of these comments because I don't think they're directed at me. That's for sure. Toronto adding that many UFAs might end up like Nashville a few summers ago, winning free agency, sucking ass at team hockey. Good point. Well put. There's no reason to believe the Habs won't be better. Well, who's on the down? Who's on the downside? Gallagher was. He's gone. Name one other player that's truly on the decline on the Montreal Canadiens? There's none. There's none. So I like it. During the 3 years Florida was in the Cup Finals, they had 92, 110, and 98 points in the standings. There you go. Yeah. The only question mark is goaltending. Oh, yeah? You don't think that defense is slow, Brian? You don't think team speed is slow? You don't think the fact that they've got one player under the age of 28 on the roster isn't whatever? Meshar is a miss, in my opinion. Could be. He made the rankings, but he's not real high. Kachuk didn't have a good season. Marchand was okay. Like and subscribe. He deserves it, and so do you. Thank you, Johnny Smith. Yeah. It's the playoff run that counts. Yeah, it does, but I think making another step, continuing to make steps in the regular season is important too. You know what Florida did, right? They kept getting better in regular season. Like look back to the year before they won the cup, right? 2 years before. They set records in the regular season. Then they had to learn how to win, right? Boston set that record, you know, huge regular season. Oh, well, they didn't do it at playoff time, but they learned. Tampa had, before they won their 2 cups, remember they had that fantastic regular season, right? They were challenging the Habs records. Then they got beat, upset in the playoffs. They had to learn to win, right? Like I would not. I don't think it would be a step back, Brian, if the Montreal Canadiens this year had like 115, 118 points, and then lost in the playoffs. Because if you look at Florida, you look at Tampa, they did that, and then they had to learn. They had to learn the hard way that hey, you know, the skill is there because any team that gets 115, 118 points is damn skilled. I don't care if it's regular season or not. And Montreal's got that skill. If this year, I don't think it's a step back because they won 2 playoff series last year in a 7th game that they were outplayed. They were, let's face it, folks, they were lucky to get to the 3rd round. Well, if they get 118 points this year and end up losing a 7 game, and this time lose game 7 to a Florida or whatever, Tampa in the 1st round, is that a step back? Maybe not. Maybe not, because it's the long run here that's important for this club. This may not be the season that the Habs win the cup, but I think having a really successful regular season and it is important for this young group because it'll only continue to build their confidence. And then if they get upset in the playoffs because of it, that's a freaking learning experience. It's as history has shown with Tampa and Florida when they, if you recall, had those great regular seasons and then got upset in the playoffs. Florida lose like 4 straight to Columbus, or was it Tampa? It might have been Tampa, right? They were just head and shoulders above everybody else, and people were anointing them as the Cup champs, and then they got swept by Columbus of all teams. So, but they learned from it, right? Anyway, there's different ways of looking at it. I was thinking Buffalo was going to be the Habs' biggest competition, but I don't think they improved much. They gave a top 4D for futures. They didn't get much for Tuck, and their goalies aren't better. Right. But like Montreal, they've got they've got some really good young pieces that I think will improve and it be important parts of their team, and just the internal improvement alone. Like Darlene is still just. I mean, have we seen the peak of Darlene yet? Maybe not. and they've got Power. I think Power could make a. You know, we haven't seen the full um, upside of Owen Power yet. This could be a big, just like I think Goulet can make a big step. I could see the same thing happening with Owen Power this year. You know, now that he's got 200 games under his belt or whatever it is, it takes friggin' time. Look at Dahlin. Even it took him 300 games to reach that next level, right? Now he's one of the NHL's best defensemen. Ah, frig, look at the Norris Trophy winner. You know, took him 600 games to reach that next level. Rowensky. Sometimes, it's defenseman, man. It's tough. It's tough to friggin' it takes experience. It takes repetition. It takes learning the league. It's playing defense in the National Hockey League is uh, it is tough. There's no two ways about it. What does Dahlin have under his belt now? 586, right? It took him, it took him 400 games, I think, to really be truly comfortable at the NHL level. And last year was his real, you know, it was like, okay, next step. What's Owen Power got now under his belt? Like, I think people underestimate just the internal improvement because young players, we saw it with Slav. It's one of the reasons why Montreal went to 106 points this past year. Slav, right? Slav was way better. That made a huge difference in the team. Like Owen Power went from 40 points 2024, 25 to 29 last year. What still hadn't played 300 NHL games. Now he's crossed that 300 game mark. I thought he was, he was good in the playoffs. I could see him. You could see a 50-point year from Owen Power and make that next. Once Denny Potvin said it many times, you need 30 games under your belt or 300 NHL games as a defenseman before you truly know. You start to see what exactly you've got there, right? Oh, Brian's Brian's on a roll. Brian, you are opinionated. I love it. I was looking at a penalty minutes Florida took last year. They were at number 3, but I had totally forgotten the Habs also had their share, number 5. There you go. Somebody other than Brian weigh in here. I don't like when people take over the chat with nobody else weighing in. So, and maybe something other than what Brian said, so the back and forth can stop a little bit here and we can discuss topics instead of it becoming the Brian show. I'd appreciate it. All right. Look, this is a pretty cool stat here. Oliver Kapanen, again, I keep seeing it. Well, the Habs can't, like somebody made a comment in the, well, the Habs can't make an improvement till they get a second line center, second line center. Where is it here? But it's just they've got to get a good second line center. They can't improve till they get a second line center. On with the second line center thing. Well, having a rookie center in there last year, right? For 70 games, they got 106 points. Now rookie center is going to be better this year, right? But let's just look at the rookie center. I did some researching here today with on Oliver Kapanen and this, like, it just people uh, they don't seem to understand that second line centers in the NHL are typically not highly productive players. There were 7 centers, second line centers in the NHL last year that scored more goals than Oliver Kapanen. 7. So He's one of the top 10 centers in goals, second line centers in goals in the entire league, while also being a full time penalty killer. Okay, here's the stat that I think people really have to pay attention to, that think that, oh, Oliver Kapanen is like the worst second line center in the league. And, you know, poor Ivan Demidov having to play with the worst second line center in the NHL. Well, read this stat. You can poo poo it if you want, but it is, to me, highly pertinent. Okay. Oliver Kapanen tied for second among all NHL second line centers. And I mean regular second line centers. Sam Bennett last year wasn't a, like, I did the research on this. Sam Bennett was the number one center on Florida last year because Barkov was out. So he's not in this list. But among NHL second line centers, even strength goals, Kapanen was tied for second, only three behind the most productive even strength center in the entire league. Okay. Brock Nelson had 23 even strength goals. Kapanen had 20. Byfield had 20. John Tavares had 19. Zaka had 19. Anthony Cirelli, who, by the way, played 20 plus games as a first line center when Point was out, he had 18. Nico Hischier, who, if you recall, played first line center quite a bit, so he wasn't even really, he was probably half the season he was a first line center. He still had fewer even strength goals than Oliver Kapanen last year. And he played first line center on New Jersey when Hughes was out, which was quite a bit last year. Dylan Cousins, 15. He was the second line center on the Sens. He had 15 even strength goals. Second in the entire league among second line centers. Folks, if that doesn't, like, can we just stop with you know, with this thought that Oliver Kapanen is a lousy second line center and that he wasn't good and that Demidov, one of the reasons why Demidov got as many assists as he did, because the second line center was his freaking second in the league in even strength goals among all second line centers. That's one of the reasons why Demidov got as many assists as he did. 20 of Kapanen's 22 goals came at even strength. 91% of his goals without the power play. Folks, if they ever get a friggin' second power play going, I don't see why Cappy couldn't be a 30-goal scorer. I mean, he did it as a friggin' rookie. And you look at his ice time, like when you look at ice time among those players, I bet you it was 4 or 5 minutes less than all of those guys. He only averaged 11, 12 minutes a night a lot of nights. Well, even strength goals per 60, I didn't do the stats, but I would be shocked if he wasn't number one among all second line centers in the NHL last year. As a rookie, look at all the other players here, folks. Cousins is in, 6 years in. Hischier, vet. Cirelli, 8 years in. Zaka, he's 10 years since he was drafted. Tavares, big time vet. Byfield's got 6 years under his belt. Nelson, long time NHL. One friggin' guy that's played fewer than 5 seasons in the NHL, and that's Kapanen, and he's second. He's second on that list. Can we not finally just, acknowledge that, hey, maybe this guy can do the job? Maybe he's not that bad a second line center. If he was lousy defensively, you could say, okay, well, yeah, sure. Second most even strength goals as a second line center in the league, but not very good defensive. Well, Frank, he killed penalties all year for the Habs as a rookie center. Anyway, I just, I do get tired because why do people just can they not acknowledge that Oliver Kapanen is a competent second line center? The numbers tell you. It's just I don't know. Well, okay, second, but he didn't have a pile of assists. Well, fine. He didn't have a pile of assists. That's the one area of the game that he can improve, and I think that's coming. I think that he's had just like any young center in the NHL rookie. You got to adjust to the speed and the skill and the size of NHL, and he's only going to be better with that. I've watched him play 200 games before he ever stepped foot in the NHL. I saw him make piles of plays. He can play make. He's got good vision. He's got a really good. He comes into the zone and he's got a real good spin move, along the boards where he keeps possession of the puck very smartly. It's only gonna We're only gonna see more and more of it as he gets used to the friggin' speed of the NHL game. Comes back better shape, better stamina. You know, it was the he hit a wall last year. Hopefully, very productive off season. Comes into camp, can play the full 84 games and be good from start to finish this year. Maybe get a few goals in the power play. Why couldn't he be a 30-goal scorer? How many second line centers here scored 30 goals out of that group? There was what, three, I think. So, you know, it's not the realm of possibility that Kapanen could lead second line centers in the league in goal scoring at even strength this year. So there's my haven't had a Kapanen rant for a week or two, but I keep seeing it not so bad here. People have learned, but just on Twitter, right? There's a lot of twits. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting stat. Thanks for giving the 311 on Cappy. Hey, Eric Lavely. Thanks. Trade for Crosby or bust. Jake Carroll. Where are you from, Jake? And you too, Eric. Are you related to Leo? How many teams that won the President's Cup won the Stanley Cup? Well, they won it 2 years later, Brian, as I was explaining to you. They don't win it that year, but they learn from it and then they win. Actually, I'll have to look that up, but quite a few teams that won the President's Cup went on to win the Stanley Cup. Not necessarily that year, but they did it in the future. Let me just be curious about this. President's Trophy. It's not the President's Cup, it's the President's Trophy. B21. Let me just see here. Tampa and Florida, as I mentioned, right? Won the President's Trophies. Then bingo, bango, boombo. Within 2 years, won back-to-back cups. I just have to double check here. Yeah. All right. Colorado, 2020, 2020, 2021. Okay. They won the President's Cup, lost to Vegas. Guess what they did the next year? They won the cup. All right. Florida Panthers, 21-22, 122 points. Okay. What they do? Lost the second round to Tampa. Well, what did they do 2 years later? Back to back. They went to the cup final 3 straight years after that. starting the next year, actually. So they learned from it. Tampa, 2018-19, 128 points. Lost to Columbus, 4 straight. What did they do after that? 2 straight cups. Um, Washington Capitals. Now, when did they win the cup? 2018. Okay. So 2016-17, Washington won the President's Cup, lost in the second round to Pittsburgh. What did they do the following season? They won the cup. 2012. Okay, Chicago wins. Bear with me a second here, folks. 2015. They won in 2015, 2013, and 2010. Okay. Chicago, all right. They led the NHL. They won the President's Trophy in 2013, won the Stanley Cup. 2 years later, won it again. So, you know, once again. So in the past, one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So 7 cups have been won by President's Trophy teams in the past 13 years. 7 cups have been won by teams that won the President's Trophy. Actually, 8, because it would be Chicago twice. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cups in the 13 years. And we'll see about Colorado, right? They won the regular season this year. We'll see. We'll see if they win a cup in the next year. But 8 of the past 13 cup winners were teams that won the President's Trophy, and only one won the cup in that time. Chicago, the first one in 2013, but 8 cups won by teams that won the President's Trophy since 2013. So, you know, winning the President's Trophy is not necessarily a bad thing. If the Habs do that, I wouldn't mind it at all, actually, because this isn't a 1 year thing with the Habs here. With that core, I mean, I keep showing it, but you look at that core 27, 25, 22, 20, 22, 24, 23, 25, 25, 25, 31, 26. You know, there's a decade run here with the Habs being contenders. So if they win a friggin' President's Trophy this year and it's still a year or two away from them winning the cup, I'm fine with that, because they could win multiple ones, just like Chicago did after winning the President's Trophy, just like Tampa did after winning the President's Trophy, just like Florida did after winning the President's Trophy. There. I like when the stats back me up. Cappy will be better this year. Numbers don't lie. Cappy has potential. I'm more than happy with an improving Cappy as their second line center. I'd like an upgrade with a second line winger. Well, they seem to have been going heavy after Nyes and Marchenko, if the rumors are true. So I think Kent Hughes agrees with you. And they also have Michael Hage coming. I don't think second line center is the big hole here. Veteran right defenseman, big skilled second line winger, I think are the main focuses of Kent Hughes. Teams don't trade the, second line center. And if you look back at this, like that's not like exactly a who's who, Those are the most productive goal scoring second line centers in the league. Well, you know, Habs aren't getting any of them. What do I think? Florian ceiling. Um, well, ceiling, absolute ceiling is third line, but more likely a fourth line NHLer, I think. But he doesn't have top six. I think he's, you know, he struggles with the pace of the NHL, but he might find a role if he can get a little faster and be a really effective energy, physical fourth liner. Jake, you're from Newfoundland. We got enough Newfies. The stats don't show that the demographics are great, or there's not that many Newfies that watch the show, but those that do like to weigh in, like to come into live chat. Typical Newfies. I hope you don't mind me calling you Newfie. Um, very personable. Like to chat, communicate. I should have elaborated. Do you think any Montreal will take a step back? It's unlike everyone will improve. Well, maybe, but like they're all just reaching they're coming into their primes. So, I mean, step back, look at that. Maybe Caulfield doesn't score 50 goals this year. Like that would be, that I could see. But as far as other players here, do I think any of them are going to regress this year? Not to any significance. And that's one of the reasons why I think the Canadiens are being underrated here. I think the Habs they could win the friggin' President's Trophy this year. I know Brian wouldn't like that, but um, knowing what Romanov is now, do you think the Doc trade was a mistake? What's Romanov now? He missed all of last year. Not sure what Romanov is, Johnny. Jury's still out on both of them, right? Both battled injuries. The interesting part about Kapanen will be to see if MSL will give him the second line center role, de facto, or if he'll build on the playoffs and put Evans or test other options. Yeah, I don't see Evans. That was a going conservative thing, right? Playoff time. I don't see Evans will move back into his bottom six role, I think. I see it being given back to Cappy to start the year. I'd be surprised if it's anything else. I think Kapanen can be a good 2C again, or if Doc can stay healthy for 60 plus games. Yeah. Not that I have inside knowledge, in my opinion. I think MSL doesn't know yet what he's going to do with 2C. He does have options, though. Yeah. Yeah. Why would you want the second best even strength goal scorer at second line center? No, for sure. Okay. MSL doesn't have a clue. Like, what do I do here? I can't have the second best goal scoring second line center in my second line that kills penalties and is good defensively. Who could it be? Who could it be? Okay, I might be a little sarcastic on that one, Kenny. Yeah, I'm drinking beer tonight. How do you invoke me? Ken, you're easy to invoke. Like this episode, guys. I'm telling you right now, hit the like button. Bringing kids on these stupid scooters. They go like there's going to be some bad accidents with those things. Like people, you know, kids just zooming along in their shorts and freaking nut. You wipe out on it, you're done. Like Road Rash City. Has anyone seen a freaking accident yet with those things? But they zip along the sidewalks and cut you off. And there's these little motorcycles. I don't know what they are, but kids zipping around in those things now too. Almost came like I go to a four-way stop and there's one of these kids, like he's got to be 14, 15. He comes up at about 50 miles an hour and he isn't stopping and then stops at the last second. Yeah, absolutely. MSL should be more concerned with the bottom six. Yeah, well, that has to be. I think they need to add some ruggedness there. You know, they need a Joey. They need a Joey um, coacher. Waybell, Wayner, one of those two scooters with two girls on it passed my Tundra in town. There you go. Wayne, do you not? I texted you last weekend like we were thinking of coming up, and you never friggin' responded. I tried calling you. Your number apparently is disconnected, and you didn't answer your text. So try getting in touch with me. I don't know, you know are you incognito there, my friend, or what? But I actually think I had Tina convinced to uh, come up, but you never got back to us, so we didn't go. Mind you, it rained quite a bit, but there was one in Toronto, a bad accident with those electric scooters. Yeah, I know it. Yeah. Check your text, Wayne. This is first I've heard from you, and it's in the live chat. All right, folks. I got to go watch a Halenka semifinal here. Canada's playing. Um, we got any more? We got a few more questions or anything like that? Keep the discussion rolling a little bit here. I seem to be caught up. I guess I could. I guess I could answer a couple more, Brian. Two things can be right. If they have a great regular season, lose in the first round, they'll be disappointed. But if they use that for fuel, that's the growth that you look for. Yeah, exactly. Yep. No, I don't look at it as necessarily a step back if they have a really good regular season and then lose in the first round. Because let's be honest, the Canadians were very fortunate to not lose in the first round last year. I mean, that seventh game, they did not deserve to win that, but they did. Grant or others, any hot take prediction for the Habs this year? Like other than Cappy getting 40 goals? Okay, no, I don't think Cappy will score 40. Uh, I usually wait till see a little bit of training camp before I get too bold. But hot takes, eh? I don't know. Is Habs winning the President Trophy? Is that a hot take? Um, Looking at this here. Eh, I think 2 years ago against Washington was the best thing that could have happened to them for their growth. Yeah. 2023, Habs used 35 different players. There are only 13 players still with the team in 2026. That's a good stat, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point, and we'll see. There's been a lot of turnover there. Well, guess what? Like that was a lot of the Bergevin crew, right? At that point, and typically when a new regime comes in with a president, with a new GM, um, new assistant GM, new coach, new coach in Laval, then guess what? There's going to be a lot of turnover in the organization over a 3-year period. So that's by no means a big shock. But it also goes to show that you can make predictions on what the lineup will look like in a couple of years, but you'd be amazed at the turnover on most teams. But this is another thing now. You look the last year, you know, there's like no changes. You look at like all these teams, like the roster turnover, like 6 players in with Florida, 4 out, 8 players in with Toronto, 6 out, Montreal. Basically, like there could be no arrivals. Like Reinbacher may not make the team to start. That means freaking, you know, same lineup, right? No, I think it's good. I think that they were a Final Four team last year. So why would you make a whole bunch of changes? You've got the youngest team in the league and you made the Final Four. Should you change things a whole bunch? Absolutely not. You're on the, you know, you're on the way up. You're on the ascension here. Keep it the same. There's great chemistry. They're great buddies. Like all of these guys are close knit. And if you got rid of like 4 or 5 of them, that, they're not going to be happy about it. They're winning. They're growing. They're kids learning to win together. Don't upset the apple cart too much there. Keep that friggin' group together. Let them learn how to win. Let them just keep, the confidence level just keep growing and growing. And because tell me that this group isn't going to go in like, well, okay, we don't have any changes here. Um, I'm more comfortable in the league. I'm 1 year older. Look at our group here. Why don't we, I I can just see them being so confident going into the regular season here. Like I look at the schedule now, it's changed so much in the last 3 years. You look back, well, they might win that one. Oh, and now it's like, well, they should. Well, they should win that one. Oh, I think they'll win this one. Oh, they got to beat that team. And now they're the favorite, and they're gonna. If I feel that way, imagine how they do. Confident, tight knit young group, right? I think they come out. They're right at the top of the standings from the start of this year, and they're in the playoffs. I'd be surprised if they're not in the playoffs all year. I really would. Oh, there we go. Wayner, thank you, Wayne, for getting back to me. uh, yeah, I just saw it. Thanks, because like I said, we wouldn't have minded going up last weekend, but you were um, you were out of touch. Do you see any surprise players winning a spot camp other than maybe Reinbacher, Beck, Florian? Well, can it like the thing is here that they like they're likely going to give the 13th forward to a maybe a Sam Poulin or Brett Bedard or Lucas Condata or unless Beck or Jacky or another surprise. I think Vinny Rohr actually um, is the guy most likely to perhaps just say, okay, Marty Lapointe's watching him in camp and saying, gee, I like Texier, but this Vinny Rohr kid, every freaking shift, he goes 110%. I want him in my lineup to start the season. I want him on that fourth line, bringing that energy every bloody shift. He's smart defensively. He's skilled enough. He's friggin' more than competitive enough. You know, the surprise for me would be Vinny Rohr. I think he possibly could win a spot cap. And if he doesn't, guess what? Well, I'm heading back to Switzerland, boys. Well, okay, well, let's keep him around then. It would be Vinny Rohr. Vinny Rohr would be my guess. Yeah, Bedard. Look at his stats, man. He's 5'9", and he wasn't even close to a point per game in the AHL last year. Like that doesn't excite me too much, Kenny. Give me friggin' give me Vinny Rohr over that. Berard there. I don't know. I'm not 41 games in Hartford, 5'9", 6 goals, 16 assists, minus 16. Why would you give that, oof, uh, pass? 14th forward. Well, who's the 13th forward then, Ken? Am I adding up wrong here, or if we notice Kent has not traded away a major piece of the group, says something about not wanting to disrupt the group. Yeah, exactly, Eric. I think that's the case. If Ryan Bacher doesn't make the team, it's because he didn't have a great camp. I don't know. So he makes the team, then what? You try to put Struble or Jacky through waivers? I think, if they don't get rid of a defenseman, they might be thinking, well, Ryan Bacher's going back regardless to start the year. And at some point, if he really just dominates in the AHL, then we bring him up. I don't know. They seem to be reluctant to hand the spot to him just yet. I hope you're right, but uh, you know, we haven't seen evidence of that so far with Ryan Bacher. That they're thinking, they're certainly not saying it. That's for sure. Maybe they want him to be inspired. I'm not sure about your take about Ryan Bacher if he has a good camp, but would end up 60-man role playing 12, 14. Maybe he'd be better playing. Well, that's true. Texier was good, but he's very replaceable. Yes. Still think they will add a veteran. It could be. Um, I was wrong. 13th. Okay. Yeah. Have Texier as your 13th guy. I'm okay with that. For bottom six. Maybe, yeah, maybe they add a vet. I'd like one of the kids to win a spot out of cap in the top 12, and I'd like Ryan Bacher to win a spot. But it means the team gets even younger, right? the way they're being cautious with Reinbacher might be the most frustrating thing as a Habs fan. Yeah, especially a top 5 pick. But in a sense, that's good too. It's kind of the anti uh, Bergevin. Um, you know, under Bergevin, Galchenyuk was playing in the league at 19. KK was playing at 18, and you know, did they end up developing them properly? I guess you could make the argument that they didn't. So Sunday, 6th of March, 2027, March 6th, Saturday, Vancouver Canucks will be visiting the Bell Center. And guess what that means, folks? The return of Galley. That'll be an emotional night, eh? It'll be nice to see. And you know what? He's going to get one of the friggin' best standing ovations. You're gonna the Forum faithful, the Bell Center faithful will show why Montreal Canadiens fans are the classiest fans in the world, and they will regale Galley with. It's going to be a lengthy, boisterous standing ovation for Brendan Gallagher. I really look forward to that night. That will be an emotional night, and it'll also be an inspirational night. And I certainly hope that he's playing. I hope he's not injured or anything like that. Certainly, if he's not injured, guess he'll be in the lineup. Imagine, only Mike Babcock would sit Gallagher on his return uh, to Montreal. That would be something Babcock would do, though. Not playing well enough. I don't have. I've got this. I can't do the chin because I got the beard in the way. But not playing well enough. I'm not dressing him tonight. Not the best lineup. It's like Medano and benching Medano. Anyway, I'm not. I'm not rooting for Edmonton this year. Bad hire. Well, getting Bowman was a bad hire, and that just proves that him friggin' bringing in Babcock. Mete, yeah, at 19, right? The friggin' depth in the organization that, you know, you get rid of like Tenorti and Boyu and, you know, why? Because, oh, well, 2 years later, we're going to play a 5'9", 19-year-old defenseman in our top four. Well, why weren't you just patient with Boyu or Tenorti or one of these guys, and they'd have been ready and developed properly and playing at that time. Instead, no, like you don't have a 23-year-old Tenorti or whatever. You've got 19-year-old Victor Mete. You know, just the Bergevin botched the development so badly. There was such a disconnect between the farm team, between you know they'd get players in, they'd get friggin' railroaded, they lose their confidence, they'd ship them out of town too early, like McCarron for Laurent Dauphin. McCarron could be their fourth line. He signs with Minnesota for 6 years. Goes plays great for them in the playoffs. They should have just kept him, but no. Oh no, another bad pick. Well, freaking play them. The year McCarron was just coming into his own. I know Wayne won't agree with McCarron, but he was playing well down the stretch, and they go get Steve Watt, Andreas Martinson, and Dwight King. And no, McCarron, you're going to sit in the stands all playoffs. instead of developing properly like he should have. They did the same thing with Sherbak, same thing with Boyhood, same thing with Tenorti, same thing on and on and on. Josh Brook was best defenseman in WHL, best power play defenseman in the WHL. He comes to Laval. Oh no, we're gonna play Xavier Ouellet on the power play, who's never gonna, wasn't gonna be an NHL defenseman. No, we're gonna play this guy who's never had 30 points at any pro level, never had 30 points. He's going to be on the first power play. We're not going to develop you. We're going to put you up at forward and you're going to blow out your knee and your career's over. It was just over and over and over again. Their development was horseshit. All right. Galley's return. They'll do a video special. Oh, yeah. Well, it'll be the friggin' yeah. Good thing you were not a Detroit fan in the 90s. You would have been yeah. Oh, I know. It was they played till they were 25 in the minors. Yeah. But they had a good friggin' team though. Can't believe it's been 14 years already. I live near the border. I knew all about the Wings and their frustrated fans. McDavid will come to Montreal when Edmonton falls again. Yeah, fails again. Yeah. Well, what, shooting a commercial? So he's got to be coming here, right? Are you running down my friend Bargain Bin? Yeah, I am. Or maybe he likes heartache, goes back home to the Leafs. Yeah, I was Wayne. Detroit fans were frustrated. It seems to have served them well to be patient. Yeah. Dwight King. Oh my goodness. Dwight King. Yeah. Who was worse though, Martinson or King? I think probably King. He could not skate if his life depended on it, but he had to be in the lineup and McCarron in the friggin' stands. Oh, kind of a 6'6" kid, you know, up and coming kid. Won a friggin' Memorial Cup, was just fantastic in junior. No, can't have him. Check out McCarron, like, you know, his last 2 years junior, first year AHL, like everything was on, and they just ruined him. Paling too. Well, yeah, another one. Another one. They weren't at any time many felt they were wasting Irisman. I'll take Reinbacher over Carrier. Hey, who wouldn't? McCarron. Yeah, McCarron. Wait, just signed a 6-year deal with Minnesota. Was excellent in the playoffs. Stud. He's learned how to fight. He's 56% on faceoffs. Really good on the PK now. He's a consummate bottom two center in the NHL now. As I said at the time too, I said he's just like Brian Boyle. Look at Brian Boyle's, how long it took him. 6'6" kid, had to learn how to freaking skate at the NHL level. It's not easy for a gangly 6'6" centerman. It takes years. And Brian Boyle was 26, 27 before he was any good at all at the NHL level. And then he was one of the best third line centers in the league for about 6, 7 years. McCarron now. McCarron is really, really solid third, fourth line center on a good team. Really solid. You thought Ott was good, really? He was done. He freaking retired after that year. They never gave him another contract. It was like, oh, we've seen enough. Sign your retirement papers there. He had 1 point in 17 games. No goals, 1 point in 17 games with the Habs. You thought he was good? You don't think McCarron could have got up 1 point and no goals in 17 games? Whew. Okay. All right, Timmy. Like I've said before, I watched McCarron live in London, and he was clearly the best player on the ice. Oh, frick, he was really good in junior. Takes up a lot of space on the ice. Yeah, and his skating's fine now. Takes year like you're 6'6", playing center. It's not easy. You look at history, like even Eriksson X took him 5 years to 6 years to get going. It'll be a team no one expects. What's that, Ken? Which team will be the worst one this year? Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal. If we look at the old poll here, might be some folks thinking it's Montreal. So I thought maybe we'd get a comment or two about the about my thumbnail today. I put a lot of time and effort into these. Nobody says boo. I thought I don't know. I thought this was a pretty good thumbnail myself. Will the Habs be crowned? I think was my headline or something like that. And I put an A on Matthews as he's serving tea to King Suzuki there, because he's he's obviously his assistant, right? But yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I put a lot of thought into these, and wouldn't mind if got the odd comment. Anyway, it was fun, and you see that the got all the logos there. So Suzuki on the throne, right? And then all the logos of the teams, Tampa, all the peons, right? Anyway, I did put a lot of time and effort into that, and not a peep, not a peep. Till now. Thank you for for a couple of comments kept coming in. I've rarely seen a forward squad as bad as Calgary. They don't have a single player I consider as a top six, but their goalies might give them a couple of points. Yeah, there we go. Not comparing McCarron to Ott. When the Habs got Ott, I thought they were getting a good player. Oh, okay. It is a nice thumbnail. Well, thank you. Lol. Hey, that's what I wanted to. That's what I want to see. That thumbnail will be useful. Yeah. The Leafs were as good as the Habs. They would pick them first overall. By the way, if you like the thumbnail, hit like or subscribe. One of the two. So Suzuki should be knocking Matthews in the head with the scepter. Oh man, it could have kept going with it. It was, me and Al put that together. My creative graphic generator, Al, and I, worked together on that one. I think it's Al. That's what it looks like. You might get what I'm getting at there. Good stuff, Grant. All right. Okay. Well, I feel a little better about it now. Thank you. Beer's almost done. I'm taping the Canada game, so I'll go a few more minutes because there's so much money flying in here. $2 from $2 from Sheldon. That's it so far tonight. I don't know that I'm not sure that even paid for my 2 beers. What you hearing about Chris Tanev? Leafs seem to think he's coming back from the dead this season. Second coming. I haven't heard a lot about Chris Tanev. I don't tend to follow the Leaf saga all that closely, John. You're kind of asking the wrong hombre when it comes to insider news on the mighty Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'll tell you one thing: I do know that I do know what number Gavin McKenna's going to wear next year. I think TSN has featured it about 42 times on their homepage so far. That's that's big news. Oh, there you go. See, you beg enough and somebody comes through. Thank you, Caddy. There's your 2 beers since you got them at Costco. Yes, I did. Yeah. What's the cost per beer? It's just over $1 at Costco. I got them on sale. Costco had them $10 off, so I got 120 cans stocked up for the summer. I've been behaving actually. First beer I've had on the podcast. Maybe my first beer since the end of the season on the podcast. I've had beer since, but Wayner, we'll have to get together here for the end of the summer. I'll shoot you a text. AREN website article about you, Grant, stating Habs will finish first in the Atlantic. Oh. There's a spy journalist among us. Ken, Ryan, show yourself. Yeah. Oh boy. And they'll end up getting like 300 more, 3 times the clicks that I get, right? I do the hard work, they get the glory. Believe it or not, I haven't had a beer in over a decade. I'll drink to that. Good for you, Renaissance. I went 5 years without drinking. Wayne would know about that. But I finally gave in, resisted. I finally worked up the discipline where I don't drink 2-4 anymore, one sitting. I haven't done acid in weeks. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Weeks, eh? Yeah. Lysergic. Yeah. Oh boy. That's still around, is it? I know it was bountiful when I was a kid. Cheers, Grant. Cheers, John. Cheers, everybody. What type of beer is this? Razor Ramonelli? Oh, I can't say. It's finished beer. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Yeah, and then they denied that that's what the song was about. Eh? Okay, Johnny. Sure. Yeah. Well, folks, I'm out of beer. I have to go watch some hockey. The conversation's getting a We're veering a little off there. I should have maybe uh, had some mushrooms on my burger tonight. Um, what's your favorite hockey movie? My favorite hockey movie. Oh, there aren't very many of them. Love Story, Billy Duke. Um, I mean, I'll always be partial to Slapshot. Is there another hockey movie? I mean, is there another answer other than Slapshot? I don't know. I liked a few of them. I liked Miracle. I thought Miracle was pretty good, even if it was Americans. Uh, I liked Young Blood was hokey, but hey, it was a hockey movie. Um, the lady walking up the stairs, kind of enjoyed that when I was a teenager. Uh, the Billet, Mystery Alaska was okay. Mighty Butt Ducks, a little hokey, but um, I mean, Slapshot. Come on, folks. There was there was no other. There's no other answer. But I did like Miracle. I thought it was pretty good. Miracle on Ice. I think it was called Miracle. They've had different versions of it, but um, the one with Kurt Russell playing playing coach, that was well done. I have to give him that. That was a good movie. Paul Newman's such a perfect lead. Yeah, I thought the I thought the Hanson brothers stole the show. Steve and Jack and Dave. Every time it cuts to the part of them just in warm up, just going in circles there, it was just so well. It was so well taped and hitting the dude in the booth with the slap shot. Old time hockey coach, and they had their race car set, and it was just a hilarious movie. One of the funniest movies of all time, without doubt. Without a doubt, Youngblood was ridiculous. Yeah, it was. It was. Everybody opening up. That's what this is. Hey, that's what this is. That's what makes this such a great Habs community. Um, it's not a bunch of kids here. We've been around the block. Miracle on Ice was pretty decent. Yeah. Um, Slapshot. Absolutely. Thank you, Patrick Menard. All you got to say is, well, back. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. Good. Mm, it's funny. I was dating a girl at the time who had he was 11, 10 or 11-year-old son, and he wanted to see Goon, wanted to see Goon. All right, you can watch it with us, eh? And it started with a rather, I don't know, he's just giving it to some dame, some damsel, and he's just started crying, and they're like, it was I don't think it was, I don't think it was meant for impressionable 10 or 11-year-old kids. Like, oh, okay. uh, this wasn't PG rated. Oh well, you wanted to watch it. Hey Destroyer. Hmm, not sure what. Do you remember the reality show called Making the Cut, where teams invited players to draft on the show? Yeah, unfortunately, I do. The Rocket, it was all right. Yeah, I mean, because it was the Rocket, but I wouldn't say it was cinematic, excellence or anything like that. We're biased to that, right? Hopefully, Gleb and Thorpe can be our Hansons. Oh, that'd be nice. I'm listening to the song. Yeah, I did mention Mystery Alaska Ken. It was a pretty good movie. The new Hansons. Yep. Broad Street Bullies. WHA inspired Slapshot. It was actually NAHL and Goldie Goldthorpe. Like that was Ogie Oglethorpe was based on Goldie. Liam wrote a book about Goldie Goldthorpe. He was quite a character and does all sorts of events with him. I'd love to have some of those old WHL sweaters. Yeah. What did you think about the show making the cut where teams? Yeah. Uh, I hope there are more than that. What other hockey movies? There haven't been. Face Off. That was the name of the movie. You ever get a chance there, folks? Face Off with hockey player Billy Duke. That was the first hockey movie I ever watched. Actually, the girl that played his love interest, I thought she was Trudy Young. I thought she was pretty fine when I was 7 years old. First hockey movie that I watched, Face Off. I think I even read the book. Neil Young, actually, I believe, wrote the book. I mean, Neil Young's dad, Scott Young. And then they made a movie. Yeah, he wrote this 71 hockey novel, Face Off, which became a. So a lot of you may not know that, but Neil Young's dad, Scott Young, was a uh, hockey writer in Toronto, and he wrote the book, the novel Face Off, and it was adapted into a movie. Hey Destroyer is a dark movie, a couple of years old. Junior hockey player delivers a dirty hit, paralyzes another player. Don Cherry story with Shorzy actor. Uh, no, Face Off. Go see Face Off. All right. There need to be more hockey movies. I started writing a screenplay on Guy Lafleur after I saw the Boreas Salmon three-part miniseries. I said, well, they got a three-parter on Boreas Salmon. They could have like a six-parter on Guy. I started writing one. I was informed by Snake Boisvert that there's a French version of the Guy Lafleur movie being made, so I stopped. But I had I had some really good angles on it. I started writing a screenplay. Maybe if the French version isn't that good, I'll get back to it. But I really liked the angle that I came up with on it. I think there should be a Guy Lafleur movie. I'm glad somebody's doing it. I don't know when it's going to come out. If it comes out, if it doesn't, maybe I'll get back to my screenplay and finish it off because I liked the concept I had. Starting it off, um, Pee Wee, Pee Wee tournament where Lafleur, where Guy, first made his mark. He went there 2 years younger than everybody else, basically, and just tore up the Pee Wee tournament. But it starts out with Sam Pollock, Scotty Bowman, who were all connected with the Habs at the time, and Jean Beliveau shows up because he was in Quebec City, right? He had been in Quebec City, and they're in the stands watching a young Guy Lafleur first make his mark, and where Sam Pollock plants a seed in his head, saying, you know, we're gonna have to make a trade with California someday to get that young man. But anyway, it's a hell of a story. I think if done right, the Guy Lafleur story be fantastic. Um, Again, I was kind of deterred by hearing that apparently it's being done by somebody else. That's fine as long as somebody's doing it. But yeah, I sent a character to your recruits. VDoc, did you were on here the other day? You must have missed it. I showed it, featured it. I showed it to the masses last show. The Funko Pop thingamading that you did. I'll show it again. VDoc, I already promoted this last show. Your Funko Pop um whatever you call it. Again, I don't have a full beard. That would be my only complaint about this. And I haven't drank Moosehead since I lived in Moncton, but I actually don't mind Moosehead. It's good beer. Yeah, I think that was pretty cool that you did that. Thank you, BDoc. My brother played in the tournament against Guy. Uh, my father was coach and talked about it. Talked about Guy long before the Rampart days. Okay. Yeah. Find some old newspaper clippings. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Well, you showed up later in the like about 20 minutes later you were commenting, so you must have just missed it. Yeah. I'm a little bit hurt that you didn't watch the whole show there, VDoc, but oh no, that's okay. All right, folks. You know what time it is for me. It's time for me to depart. 2-hour show. Thank you so much as always. Great topics to end it with you know, um well, we even got into Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So it was, as usual, wide variety of topics. You know, greatest hockey movies, you name it. Cappy, Habs, of course. Gonna win the President's Trophy. Shh, be quiet about it, folks. Don't say it too loud. Okay, as always, I appreciate you tuning in. Hit that like button, please. Let's get it over 100. It's been a slow week. Let's get the algorithm going, generate a few bucks for Moa here so I can pay off my Chester vet bills that are coming up. Been driving through wildfires out here in Okanagan. Ooh. Cheers. Okay. Thanks, Grant. Later, folks. All right. Later, everybody. Another great day to talk hockey. Talk to you soon.